Alright, so this is how I get my kayak on and off. So you can see I just put on the roof rack, some straps, and then here, which is key, this helps. This is like a foam roller with suction cups. It helps me roll it on and off, and I have foam blocks. You can see right there some foam blocks. So that's it. I figured I'd start this video out a little differently by showing you what it takes to get your kayak to the launch site. You know, you'll watch a lot of videos on YouTube where all of a sudden you just see that person out on the water, and you know, you may not be aware of just how much goes into prepping and planning and mobilizing your kayak to your launch site. So here in this little fast motion clip, I'm kind of giving you, a heads up of what it takes. Just taking it off the car and packing all your stuff, it took me about 7 minutes here in this clip. Sometimes it can be quicker or sometimes even longer depending on the gear you have, but just make sure you give yourself time as well. And if you're first thinking about getting into this, you do have to remember that you're going to need a place to store it, and you're going to need a vehicle to transport it. That is, if you obviously plan to go somewhere besides walking distance. And then obviously on the return, you're gonna have to do this all in reverse, and then when you get home you'll have to rinse everything down. So there's a lot to this process, so just be aware that it's not as easy sometimes as it looks, but it can be a lot of fun. I will say it's an absolute blast, but it is a process. This day I launched from a local beach, and so I needed the beach wheels to get to the launch, to the water's edge. And then once I'm there, this is why I'm wearing boots, so I can sort of maneuver myself around the kayak without getting wet. You want to keep it kind of half in the water, half out. Remove the wheels, and this is also why having that keel guard in the front was good. Then remove this piece that protects the rudder, and then your kayak's pretty much good. So you just pull it up shore a little bit so that it doesn't go away when you put this stuff back in the car. You can see the keel is actually sitting on the sand, but I'll work out a fix for that. Then you have to mount all the gear. You have to put the rod holders in the track mount. You have to put the fish finder in the track mount. You need to put your fishing rods in the rod holders. Kind of just get geared up and preparing to launch. So, that's that. I haven't really figured out what the fastest way is for the fish finder, if I have to plug in this mount every time, or maybe I can just leave this mount on the boat and then just attach there the ball. So just trying to figure stuff out, seeing what's the easiest. This is again the first time out on this kayak into the sound with all this gear, and you'll see in a little bit that I don't really have the rhythm down just yet. Put the fish finder a little bit forward. little messed up. It just takes some time getting used to all this stuff. Water's down. Oh man. This Mirage Drive is so smooth. Alright everybody, welcome back. And yeah, we're headed out into the Sound today for the somewhat maiden voyage. You know, I did take this out in the bay just to make sure everything was okay a couple days ago, but you know, now that I have a little bit of a sense of what's going on, I'm gonna take it out here in the Sound. It's a very calm day, great conditions. The water clarity looks pretty good when I launch, so I'm excited that we might get some underwater footage today. I'm gonna be trying some deeper spots. I'm thinking to just go for blackfish mostly and troll for stripers a little bit. I don't really think the stripers are here all that thick. You know, there might be a couple strays, but they're not like running through here yet. So maybe I'll give it a go, but I'm gonna focus mostly on getting blackfish underwater footage because I've got a bunch more baits today. So here, as you can see, I brought a bunch of Asian crabs. I have frozen greens, I got mussels, and I got clams. So I want to try a variety of baits that people say catch blackfish in the spring, and we're gonna put them on the hook on the underwater and see what they do. Hopefully they're here though. So, you know, not sure about that actually. Saw them in the bays, but maybe they're not out here in the Sound. So one way to find out. I'll let you know how this kayak does. So far there's already a couple things that I don't really like about it, but mostly I do. I do like it. It's definitely an upgrade. Yeah, it's smooth. I mean, it's, you know, it's like getting a much nicer car or something like that. It just feels a lot better to ride in it. But yeah, there's definitely a couple things, and I didn't get to do all the modifications yet, but we're still working on that. And yeah, so, you know, I don't have it exactly the way I want it yet, but we're getting there. It's a process. You know, I didn't even the rectangular hatch I didn't do yet because I'm not even 100% sure I want to do that, but I'll get into that a little bit later. We'll see how this goes. You know, as all things, it takes some time getting used to, so I don't want to be too critical, or, you know, I don't want to make quick judgments yet. It's got to take some time to get used to. Absolutely gorgeous out here. So nice. So another thing I noticed is I'm doing pretty good with the speed, getting like 3 miles an hour, just sort of cruising, you know, not getting winded, sort of pedaling. If I wanted to bump that up, I could probably get 4. So like here, let's see, start going a little faster. .7. Yeah, it's almost 4. But 3, you know, is good. You're just sort of cruising. You know, with my sport, it's pretty much 2 miles an hour cruising, and then if I was, you know, getting some current and pushing hard, I could maybe get in the 3s. I don't even think I've ever seen 4 on that one, maybe. So yeah, it's a faster kayak, and I have roughly the same weight as I would when I was in the sport, so it's a pretty fair comparison. Definitely stable, even though the seat is high. It does have more stability, and I think that's more of the pontoon design. But it's just like it's like a not as responsive. I think that's the word. Although the turning is pretty amazing. Here, we'll do a turn right now. Watch this. So here's a turn on the dime, going 3 miles an hour. And that's actually a very tight turn. That's a very tight turn. So that is pretty good. Now I did end up putting the mesh pocket where the pilot holes are because I'm thinking of doing something here. What it is I miss the well side pockets on the Sport. And you know, I know the Outback has those too, probably the Pro Angler. And it does seem like a minor thing, but it's when you get used to a certain style. I'm always just like throwing something there, even if it's just temporary. This has no kind of like super temporary storage. You put it here, it's just gonna roll. You know, the mesh pocket's not really meant for doing that. It's, you know, I just almost need like a tray, some sort of like raised piece. So I don't know, that's one of my projects on the list. Yeah, I guess this is definitely a more project-oriented kayak. It's fully equipped, but it could have improvements. Another thing that I don't like is just the seat. The seat is comfortable, but I think the design is lacking. They had this piece here reaching here, and it's in the way of the seat part. So I had to buy this, you know, like little link sort of thing to kind of extend it away from that. Otherwise it was just impossible to move. And it also, in doing so, it gave a little bit more room on the strap because the strap was really like maxed out if you wanted to recline it more. So that was a little modification that I feel was 100% necessary. And I just still don't really like the fact that the seat is held down by a bungee. I don't know, I guess it's just me, but again, it's just something I got to get used to. It's just different. So yeah. All right, more on that when we start fishing and anchoring. You know, I haven't anchored yet. I just installed the anchor Charlie on the left side, and yeah, I did that because I'm not left-handed. But I did it that way on my Sport, so I'm used to it. And I don't know why, but I just feel like there's more, I always have more room to do stuff on the left side. And you'll see in another video how I fixed that. That ball mount broke. These ball mounts, they are really not that great. So you really do have to be careful. You know, I'm not trolling right now. Haven't marked a single thing yet, so not gonna bother. Just want to get to the blackfish spot before the water clarity could change. So all right, stay tuned. Underwater coming up soon. Okay, so here we go. Just remember again, it's about 47 feet, so it's pretty deep. Look at the top right corner of the screen. You're going to see a blackfish right there for just a quick second, and a second one right behind it, if you notice that. So there's definitely 2 blackfish down here. So this structure is kind of tough to find, actually. It's, you know, not in a very great location around other things. It's sort of muddy. Oh, there's one of the mussels that I was chumming with. So you know they actually do go straight down if it's a pretty slow tide. This footage really isn't great, and I didn't really get a whole lot of fish in the frame. I do like the look of this structure, and I'm gonna come back here for sure. It never really was too productive in the past, but I also didn't really give it a whole lot of attempts. I mean, just look at that cavern. Looks so good. There's got to be some blackfish in there. You look closely, you can actually see that jellyfish attempting to swim against the current. If you look at the top right of the screen again, you can see the blackfish, another male, or it could be the same one. So I actually have the underwater camera down and a jig with a crab on there, and you can see that cloud right there. That's a blackfish actually going after the crab, where I probably lost my bait. Yeah, unfortunately I wasn't keeping the camera very steady because I was getting a bite. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see this blackfish. He's a little off the structure too, which is interesting. Even though I didn't get a whole lot of blackfish in the frame, these clips were very educational just to see that, you know, they're here. They're here in this deeper water at this time of year. But the structure is like a heavy structure, so that's why I think that has a lot more to do with it. Alright guys, fishing with underwater and the jig, and I'm getting bites. Oh yeah, look at that. They're small bites, but they're on the Asian crab. Probably took it all now, but that's a great sign. Nice. So I'm in 45 feet, 48 feet of water. So I'm not anywhere near shallow. I believe this is an area of debris, maybe some steel. Oh. I think maybe I'm gonna focus on catching a fish first before I put the underwater down. This way I can also fire them up a bit. So I've also got some mussels. And the tide is roughly slack. So thinking that I can probably get some mussel chum down there. See, that's what I also don't like. I used to like putting my foot on something. It's the little things. This is very deep. Oh, it's so tiny. But it is a blackfish. It's actually not that tiny. It's just, he's so cold. So cold. Oh, fully had the jig. They even swim slower down to the bottom. That's pretty exciting though. To know that you can catch blackfish in roughly 50 feet of water in the spring. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. These guys are just so hard to... Hopefully I don't drift off this spot. It's definitely a very small area, so I think I got lucky positioning. I spent about an hour here at this spot, and I only had that one male in the beginning. We'll check out what the underwater shows, but yeah, I've never really fished this area too much. It's never been that productive, even though the bottom looks really good or sticky, but you never know. Maybe it's just the timing. So yeah, there's definitely blackfish there in the spring in 47 feet of water, but not many, or they don't want to bite. Check the underwater. Let's go to the next spot. So, yeah, second spot was a dud. I didn't see anything. I don't think the underwater picked up anything either. I'll have to check. But yeah, I'm starting to think there's like foraging grounds and then spawning grounds. That spot last year in the fall was amazing, but I don't think there's anything there now. So the third spot is going to be even shallower. I'm going to try probably like 10 feet. So we started with like 45, caught one, went to 20 feet, caught 0, going to 10 feet. Let's see. Not much doing in the shallow spot either. Yeah, I probably should have given the first, if I was fishing for real, I probably would have given the first spot more time, since I actually did catch one. But you know, I was going really more for underwater exploring, you know, just kind of learning the bottom a little bit better. Successful in my mind, and got to test out the kayak, which yeah, it's good to do a trip like this so you know what to do, how to anchor, where to put things. Like, see, this is what bothers me, is I just like to throw like a jig head or something with quick access in an area like that. And I gotta figure out what to do with my anchor lines. Can't just leave it like that. You know, the mesh pocket. Yeah, maybe I could put like the jig head, something like that. And this really helps too. You add a carabiner so that you can just loop your line instead of threading it through the hole. Yeah, it's very helpful. I think it's still cold. It's still 47, 46. It was 50 when I tried the shallow part, but it's just not ready. And even that one blackfish that I caught, he wasn't swimming all that fast. He swam back down much slower than the ones do in the fall. Only temperature seems to be the biggest. Just kind of struck out in the shallower stuff, but you know, it's always good to get some underwater and to try out the new kayak, you know. Overall, it's a it's good. Overall, it's good. I have more things to do to it, but you know, this was a very good learning experience, and just gonna take some time getting used to it. So All right, check back in when this weather starts getting warmer. Start getting more fish. All right, later.